Hello viewer, my name's Don. This short video is about my visit to Ridgetown, Ontario and travelling to Cornwall, Ontario to visit friends. My sister Margaret and her husband Ken run a Dixie the franchise producing chicken. After flying from Edmonton, I arrived in Toronto and was picked up by Ken and went to my sister's place in Ridgetown, Ontario. Here's Ken hard at work. Ken used to be the high school principal but resigned in his mid-50s and bought a small business, the chicken franchise. He's still operating it now in his early 60s. It's always enjoyable visiting my sister's house because there are many mementos from my parents' house. Both my parents are deceased. Here is a picture of Peggy's Cove, which I visited with my parents in the late 1950s. Here is a painting of the Mountains of the Mourne. My parents took our family to Ireland outside Belfast in 1954, and we spent 6 months there. This is the wood carving of Ken and Margaret's two boys, who are now adults. They are fighting on a raft outside our summer cottage. I know I did that many times myself when I grew up at that same cottage. This is a typical Northern Ontario lake scene, which I identify with. Here are Ken and Margaret and myself having a quick meal. After a week in Ridgetown, Richard and myself decided to visit friends in Kembleford, Ontario and Cornwall, Ontario. We're on the 401 heading east through Toronto. Toronto is a huge metropolitan city with a population of over 4 million people. It's growing rapidly as these mammoth high-rises show. Many people live outside Toronto in places like Oshawa, called satellite communities, and they take the GO train into Toronto, a double-decker affair. This is unusual architecture near Oshawa as we pass under on the 401. We arrive in Kembleford at our friends Ellen Armit, or Ellen and Carol Armit, and this is their home. Ellen used to teach high school at Kembleford High School for many years. Ellen joins us for a trip through the Maritimes. We push on to Kingston, Ontario and catch up with Professor Gerald. We drive on to Avonmore, Ontario, where a friend of mine who went through history with me runs a Barclays general store. Murray Barclay was working on his PhD when he decided to give it away and take over his father's general store. This store probably has not changed in 50 years and still gives a good idea of what a typical provincial country general store used to look like. The biggest selling counter is, of course, the liquor cabinet. We meet with Murray after he finishes work for a few beer at his home. This is Murray's home. We push on and spend the night in Cornwall. Here we catch up with Brian McHugh, who shared a house with me in 1972. It was really good to see Brian. Cheers, viewer, and thank you for joining me on this short excursion.